Hello and welcome to the Friendship News Hour presented to you by Bummer Dude Media. Today is June the 21st, 2023. His name is Alex. My name is Frank. It has been since June 1st since I hopped on this platform and put my voice to recording.
Dude.
It's been a long time, dude.
We missed
like
you.
A while.
We missed you. Missed your must.
Thanks. I missed you. And I missed you.
At least I got to see you in that time,
Definitely not you. Did get to embrace you in person. It's always nice.
A couple things that happened since the 1st of June.
I got a new hat.
It's a beautiful hat.
I did. My kid turned 8 months old.
Yep.
And he's a maniac.
It's a boss, man. I already miss him.
He's a cool kid. That's about it. I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, last time we spoke, you were living in California, and you're not anymore, actually.
No, I'm not. I have untethered. I have unplugged from the cesspool that is California.
So how is it? Talk to me about how the move went. I saw you briefly during it, but how did it all go, your cross-country journey?
It was long, and it right now seems like a blur. I think the most interesting part of it was that, because we had like stretches of drives, and the most memorable thing about it, other than like spending time with the family and seeing the country, is that the drives seemed so short.
Okay.
Like so short. I don't know why that was. I think maybe because like mentally we've set aside the day for driving. So like we drove from Colorado to Kansas City, and that was a 10-hour day. And it didn't feel like 10 hours. It barely felt like. And I don't know why that is. Like, I don't know what the psychology is behind that. But, and maybe because we had like the kid in the back and he was fussy at times. So we had to focus on that. And, we're always doing things, or we're listening to like a long form podcast about murder. There's a lot of those. I don't know, man. But the drive was cool. It was long. It felt like we might never get to the destination because we had so many stops along the way. The beginning of the journey was lonely because we weren't visiting anybody. We went to Utah, we didn't visit anybody. Went to Colorado, we didn't visit anybody. It was just us. And it started to feel a little lonely. And then as soon as we got to Kansas City, we saw a couple people, and then to Chicago, and we saw you guys, and then to Ohio, and we saw friends in Ohio, and then it became a chore, and we're like, Jesus Christ, I'm so sick of people. I'm so sick of visiting. I love you guys, but like, fuck off. Yeah. Dude. I'm so tired of visiting people because it like there was no more like relaxation. It was time off work, but we were always doing something. We were always involved in something. So when we found those couple hours where we could just chill, it was nice. Man,
what was your favorite place you guys went to out of all the cities?
Probably Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado.
Yeah, just off the top of my head without thinking about Colorado. It was just so beautiful. There was still snow. It was still pretty cold, and it was just gorgeous. It was so nice in Colorado. And I was sick too. I was like sick in Colorado.
Oh, really?
But I felt, but it was cool. I was pleasantly surprised by Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah, Kansas City. Like you would think, Middle America, Midwest, flat farmland. It couldn't be further from that. They play into like that Emerald City, Oz kind of thing. It's like a city on a hill, bisected by the river from Kansas to Missouri. Even Kansas was beautiful. Kansas is not flat. Kansas is rolling hills and really pretty. Utah, obviously, like the I-70 from Utah to Colorado is just insane.
Beautiful.
It's just nuts. I feel like I would love to be a trucker just to get that route, just to go out there and see that. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, Colorado, probably my favorite.
Had a pretty memorable life event when you were in Chicago, I'd say.
I did. I saw my first White Sox game.
That is not what I was talking about. But yeah, we did do that. No,
I'm downplaying it. But yeah, got engaged.
Got engaged.
Put a ring on it.
That was very exciting. As the cinematographer for the entire event, it was very exciting.
Yeah. Oh, I'll give your grade C+.
C+? Dude, the angles I was hitting on that were great. Got the fog coming in over the city.
No, it was great. It was cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
dude.
I got engaged. I feel weird talking about it. I don't know why. Yeah, it was cool. It could. I think it could have happened at any time.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to happen in Zion. Actually, we went to Zion.
Yeah,
and we got out of the car at Zion, and in the parking lot we were at, they had like this bike rental area, and they had like this little like attachment that you could put on the back of the bike where you could put the baby. And we were like pondering: is he too young? Is it going to work? Is it good for his neck? Mm-hmm. And it took us about an hour to just decide, and then we had to hook it up. And so by the time from when we parked to when we left the parking lot to go to the park, it had taken about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
Oof.
And then we got to the park. We got about a half mile in the park and then decided to turn back because it was like 100 degrees and the kid's neck was like this. And so it was a disaster and not romantic.
I was say, yeah, just stressful and just, yeah, sweaty.
Yeah. It could honestly, it could happen in like any number of different ways. Could have done it back in California. I just didn't know. I just know that I definitely didn't want to not be engaged to this woman for very much longer.
You've been living in sin for quite a while, Frank.
I have. You know, you can only go to confession so many times and confess the same sin so many times for the priest. Like, bro, got to do something.
So that's cool. Hell yeah. And then, okay, you don't get all the news, Frank. You don't get all the news, okay? I got something myself that I told you the first night you were here that I want to now yell to the world. 'Twas not the plan, but come December 30th, me and my wife, Sarah, are expecting a second child into this world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And crazy enough, it's like 6 days or 4 days after Mr. Rager's son, and about a week after our buddy Dave Matrango when he's expecting. So,
oh yeah,
end of December.
Babies on babies, man. Christmas full of babies.
Yeah, stay off Instagram because there will be babies.
As it does, the show leads to natural segues, and I wanted to make this the dad news hour, given that we just came off of Father's Day.
Let's do it.
And as far as I'm concerned, kids are the only source of wealth in life. And I know that you didn't plan to have more kids, but you are having more kids, and I think that is fantastic. I really do. I think it's awesome. So let's talk about dads.
Let's do it.
What do you think is the best gift, tangible or otherwise, that your father passed down to you?
He gave me like a really good sense of humor, for sure. Like how to look at the world and not such a serious way, and just to like enjoy, like find ways to enjoy yourself and to like try to make other people laugh. I've always felt like that's one thing he definitely bestowed upon me. He also bestowed my love for music on me. I wouldn't be here in Chicago and doing all the things I've done through the last years and whatnot without like that spark, that passion from him, and watching him do it when I was younger in his studio and whatnot. So those are two things for sure I can accredit to that man. What would you say?
Lovely. Yeah, I think the one thing that I come back to when I see it in myself, I attribute it immediately in my head to my dad, and that is the quiet confidence that you have knowing that you're doing the right thing, even though the reaction by other people might not be positive.
Okay.
He was always a person who would tell me, and I hated it, but at the time I hated it, like, you'll understand when you're older, or when you're older, this will make sense, or, you know, this far down the line, this will come to fruition. And he was always right about that stuff. But he was never shy to say, like, I told you so, but he never panicked, right? He was never like, this is going to happen, you have to do this. No, it was always very much like, hey, look, here's what I see. I'm calling it how I see it. I think I'm right. You have to make the decision whether or not you want to take my advice or you want to go a different route. But I promise you that if you go this route, this is what you'll see.
So he taught you to, like, would you say being headstrong?
Yeah, headstrong for sure. Like having like a great radar for bullshit. I think I got that from him too. I don't know. Like, I don't know your relationship with your dad. Mine was rocky. But just observing him as a man for all his faults and all his strengths, it was invaluable. And like, I bring that up for a reason, because I guess if I could pick, I guess I have the opportunity now with my son, but if I could like pick and choose what my dad could do and what he couldn't do, or what I would like to see him do or not do, that's one thing. But I didn't have that opportunity. I had to take my dad for who he was, and for who he was is a very flawed person. But even that, like even taking him at face value of who he was, I think that there's value in having just that role model. You know, do you get what I'm saying? Are you tracking what I'm saying here? Or is this like super confusing?
Picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, and I was grateful for that, because I learned from him that my decisions are my own, and that I need to take responsibility for my own decisions, whatever may come of them, which gave me the freedom to choose a life that I wanted to choose. There was never any hard, like heavy-handedness. There's always truth. There was always, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But it was never like, hey, you need to do this, or like, I'm going to be disappointed in you if you choose this.
Yeah.
It was always very much like, this at the end of the day, this is your life, and you need to make these decisions. So having that role model and getting to see the things that I didn't like, especially the things that I didn't like, I think have shaped the father that I want to be. And I'm forever grateful for that. I'm forever, ever grateful for that.
I think that's really important, though. Like, I think, at least like the natural order of things, there's obviously always exceptions to this, but I think like a good mom is always like, is one, I guess what I think of it is like one who's like loving and caring and nurturing and like does all these things. And like, obviously you want some of those attributes as a dad too, but like kind of as you're describing it too, I feel the same way with my dad. Like they kind of taught me how to look at the world like a little bit more realistically or like how to handle certain things like a failure or something doesn't go your way or, you know, those kind of things. Like they kind of teach you how to approach them more practically, I guess I would say, or not with such an emotional lens in a way.
You bet.
And I think that's like so important. Like, and both of those perspectives are really important because I do think you still need to, you know, have some emotion to you, and it teaches you like a little bit more morality in a way. But like having that headstrongness, having that ability not to maybe like jump to conclusions or take something so personally right away or whatever, like is so important. So like I think you need the yin and the yang in both. So like I'm grateful for kind of both those things.
Do you see in later, like as you're getting older, do you see more of your father coming out in you?
Yeah, dude, I hate it.
Dude, I see
so
it every
funny,
day.
man. I don't want to say like I don't want it to happen because there's a ton of great shit about my dad, but there's just things about my dad like he is like transformed as social media has gotten bigger to like this personality on social media, and like he gets like more and more engaged into the news as he's gotten older and all these things, and I like start to see, not that I'm a personality online or anything, but like my interest in politics and the news in all like the reason like we're doing this show like has greatly increased in the last few years. So like I feel like I'm starting to like feel some of that in this show. Like,
interesting.
It's so strange, man. But definitely, absolutely, man. I just gotta hope I don't lose it all like him, man. That man's sense of humor is out of this world. I gotta hope that doesn't come for me.
Yeah, the level of I don't give a fuck that Jim Kenzie has is
it's dangerous,
admirable, and enviable. Is that how you say that? I'm envious of that. I would like to have, and I feel like I'm pretty. I rarely care what others think in terms of like what I think,
dude.
But it pales in comparison to that. He's
a legend in that way. We went to breakfast with my mom and my grandma last time we were in Toledo. Like a sizable diner in Toledo, and the guy shows up on like the first day of Pride Month, and his shirt in huge letters says, "I don't give a fuck about your pronouns."
Oh my god!
I'm just like, dude, if you wore that shirt in Chicago, our food is getting spit in for sure. Like it passes here in Ohio. Like you actually even got compliments on the shirt, which makes sense. But like, it's just the dude does not give a fuck. So man,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that my temper is becoming more like my dad's.
Really?
I have a shorter fuse for things. And it's like, I don't want to say it's irrational, but a little bit. For things that like I don't like.
Gotcha.
I feel like I have less space for little annoyances. And I don't even care to mention them publicly because they're petty annoyances that I have. That I know that like they are my own problem. What my dad has never known is that they aren't his problem. And he has zero tolerance for things that he does not approve of or doesn't like or that annoy him. And he wears that disapproval on his sleeve. And I can see myself doing more of it. I don't like it. But it's almost like it's unconscious that I do it.
Yeah.
And I have to catch myself. I'm like, all right, don't be an asshole, Frank. Like, it's not that serious. It's not that serious.
You think our dads would be friends?
No. They're way too much alike. And on different spectrums too. Like, for whatever reason, I don't know what this is. Maybe just staying at home, but like, I I think my dad kind of got caught up in a little Trump derangement syndrome. He was never like out there about it, but if it got brought up, like you could tell, like he was just kind of regurgitating something he saw on CNN or something like that. So like
For sure.
From that aspect, like if they got in that conversation, I don't think so. And they're so headstrong.
Would they agree though on all of that though? Because the same thing happened.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'd love to make that happen. See, because our moms are very alike too, and I think they'd be great friends. Honestly, I really do. Lisa and Sue.
Oh yeah, you can make a sitcom about them.
But I would love to see Hector and Jim together. That'd be amazing.
That would be cool. Maybe one day. Maybe I'll invite your dad to my wedding just for the entertainment purposes. But then I'd have to invite your mom. That might get a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's one thing I learned about. I'm going to attribute it to my dad, but it could be about any parent, right? Your obviously your upbringing shapes you. And it shapes the person that you become. And if you're lucky enough to be introspective about that as you get older, then maybe you can learn from it and learn some lessons. And then you can correct some things along the line so that maybe you're not creating the same mistakes that your parents did on you. And nobody comes out of this world unscathed. But a few years ago, I learned something about the way that I approached my relationship with my father, because like I mentioned, my relationship with my dad was rocky, and there were aspects of it that I really didn't like and that I resented and I lamented and I wish hadn't happened. And because of that, the things that I saw in my dad that I didn't like, I decided to turn 180 degrees in the opposite direction and then go the other way. So much so that I said, I don't want to be my dad. I don't want to be Hector. I don't want to be this person. And in doing that, I handicapped myself from enjoying the life that I could have enjoyed. And I'll give you a very concrete example of this. My dad, in many instances, not all instances, but in many instances, didn't treat my mom the greatest. And so having that example set for me, I wanted to be the opposite of that. But in being the opposite of that, I never allowed myself to say yes to the things that were innate inside me, like pursuing somebody that I was attracted to, or allowing the natural male progression to come out in a healthy way. It was always suppressed, so much so that I didn't even want it to come out because I was afraid of what it might manifest in me. And so I was trying to be the opposite. The only reason I bring this up is because I reckon that there's one or two of you out there who have struggled with something very similar to this. And I think it's important that we take a look at these instances and we say, change the narrative a little bit. I don't want to be the opposite of my father. I want to be me. And I want to use these experiences that my father gave me and my mother gave me and that everybody else who was influential in my upbringing gave me to shape the man who I want to be, and then use the lessons from them that I don't like to also shape the man that I want to be by, addition by subtraction, putting away these things. I guess in short, it's not good, nor is it healthy if you had a relationship with your father that maybe was rocky, or you witnessed some things that your dad did that you didn't appreciate. I think it's natural to want to gravitate away from that, but I don't think it's healthy to go in the opposite direction, or to continually say, like, I don't want to be this person. I want to be opposite of this person.
I think it's somewhat natural though. Like it's 100%
natural.
Like in your teen years, and you get into your 20s, and you start to once that, like, the allure of your parents, I guess, like, wears off at some point in your life, and I feel like it happens to everybody. This person who you've, like, probably mostly idolized most of your life, or whatever, like, you've built them up, like, you start to see their flaws, and you start to see all these things that you, like, don't agree with, and that you don't like, or whatever, and, like, you, like, kind of, like, start to tear this person apart in your mind in one way or the other, like, from your righteous moral high ground, whatever that is. Right.
Well, I mean, not even that. You want to be a good person.
Yeah. Right. But so,
give yourself the benefit of the doubt.
But then, yeah. So, like, you go through this time when you find these flaws, and you just, like, lean into them, and like you're saying, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be like that. Blah blah blah. But, like, at a point, then, and this has happened to me very recently, especially with my dad, where I, like, just come to be like, he was just a dude who was like doing the best he could with the shit he's been given. He's a human and he's inherently flawed like we all are and blah, blah, blah. And then you start to appreciate the things that they've done or the person that they are, the things that they've like taught you. And that shit starts to fade more. And maybe like the hero mindset of that person isn't there like it was when you were a kid, but like the level of like appreciation and just like love. And then like once I had a kid, of my own and start to think about it from like his perspective, looking at me kind of a thing. And like, damn, like someday Walter is going to do that to me, and like all I want is the best for that dude, right. And I try every day for that, but that is going to happen someday. So it's just, I think it's just like a part of life, man. And hopefully once you grow to have that somewhat appreciation for that person, like, time heals all wounds or whatever. But
well, sure. I also I really like what you said. And I think when you mentioned that it's natural to want to gravitate away from that, carve your own path, and even say something like, oh, I want to be different. I don't want to be this person. I want to be opposite of this person. Whatever they did here, I want to do something different here. But I think where the real harm in that comes in, at least for me, this is just my own personal experience speaking here, is that person, my father, is half of me.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little bit more so because I had a stronger bond with my father when I was a younger kid. So when I allowed myself to accept him for him, and then me for me, the number one benefit of that was a giant skyrocket in confidence.
For you?
For me, because I no longer feared becoming this person that I didn't want to be. Mm-hmm. Because I allowed myself to separate myself from my father, but not turn in the opposite direction and run away from it. Right. We're kind of going along in parallel. And I attribute everything to that realization. This relationship I have with Jacqueline and the relationship that I'm creating with my son, I don't pretend to know that I have the answers, even though sometimes it might sound like I do. I don't. This is me on the record, humble pie, I'm eating it. I don't know the answers. But what I do know is that I'm confident in the path that I'm taking because I know that I have the humility to course correct or to say that I'm wrong or to say that I fucked up here. And then I also have the example set from my father, both good and bad, on things that I want to do and don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And the confidence it's given me, it's been amazing. So if you're out there and you're feeling a certain way or this resonates with you, there's a book that I read that I think you might get some value in. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's a pretty corny title, but the book, it really shines a light on how to become your own man. It really gives you some background information so that you can start to realize how you've been unconsciously hamstringing yourself from getting what you want and whatever that might be. So the book's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Really, really good book. I recommend it for all, but especially for young men. I recommend it. I want to play you a clip here from Mr. Elon Musk talking about fatherhood.
You will absolutely be happier if you have kids. Absolutely. We've evolved to have that, as all creatures have. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can take, say, I don't know, an alley cat or something or a bobcat, like some like wild creature that would normally be quite fierce and unfriendly, mm-hmm. And like kill or eat anything it came across. But the moment it has, cubs or puppies or whatever, or kittens, it becomes that becomes loving mom. Mm-hmm. So like the cat that was really mean is like taking care of its little kittens. It's instinct. It's it's genetic programming. So people should really expect that if they have kids, they will improve their quality of life, not make it worse.
You've got a lot of kids?
Yeah, I'm trying to set a good example.
I love that, man. I love that. I think that there's particularly in our generation, attitude that kids are a burden to whatever lifestyle that you want to create. Do you get that sense?
Man, yeah, I was kind of thinking that way before we found out we were having another one.
Well, okay.
Selfishly, I was thinking that. I'm not going to lie.
Well, but selfishly or not, it's not untrue. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If your mindset is, I want to do this, I want my life to be this, and a kid, it's just going to get in the way. Maybe my circumstances are different than others. I know that they are. But that's one thing that we've not allowed ourselves to ever think, is that a child will be a burden. It is just an addition to the things that we are already doing. And we have from day one involved the kid in everything. The child has been with us for everything. We wouldn't have it any other way.
True, but double that, and it does become a burden at a point to do certain things, to go out to dinner. You're man coverage now. You're not zone coverage. It becomes equal numbers. So going out to dinner, it's not just one baby that you're trying to set up and feed and entertain and still try to eat yourself. Now it's double that. It's you're trying to go out to the mall. It's not just one baby you got to carry around. You both got to strap a baby up, or dual carriage system or whatever. Like it does at a point, it becomes a burden, especially if they're both around like the same age, to where one can't like walk themselves and entertain themselves or whatever. Like there is a burden aspect to it. Now, if whether that burden is worth it or not to you, I think is different. But to make it seem like it's easy peasy with two or more, I feel like you're lying to yourself a little bit.
Not easy. No one ever said it was going to be easy.
Exactly. Which would make it a burden to a point.
Well, I guess, but to me, that's a mindset, because the last thing you said is if it's worth it to you or not is the difference. Mm-hmm. And I say, if you're worth anything as a person, it's worth it 10 times out of 10.
For sure. Yeah.
Because you will miss the tantrums being thrown in the middle of a Macy's.
Can't wait.
You will. You will miss it. Because it represents. When you're older?
Like
yeah, or
grown?
even not even older. Like I'm sure you already miss and probably have some excitement reserved in you for the early stages of your new child's development, right? The first few weeks or the first few months. And maybe your mind goes directly to the lack of sleep, or the waking up at 3 a.m. and just like being completely exhausted, and you have another kid, mm-hmm. and you have to make sure both are, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that's where your mind can go to. But to me, that is, you bank that. Unconsciously, you bank that. And that becomes a source of wealth that no man-made object or amount of money could ever replace. And
agreed.
I think that's kind of what the message that Elon Musk was saying. It's like, that's innate, that's in your DNA. Mm-hmm. So I will always push back and lament on the attitude that a child is a burden. Because even though you might be right in, depending on how you define burden, it doesn't mean that it's not worth doing. And that to me is like where it should end. It's a burden that's worth taking on.
Agreed.
And that should be the whole sentence.
But I can see why people don't do it or don't have these huge families. Like I can definitely see that. And like I said before, we were gonna have the second one. We were kind of cool on one. Like, how could we love something else more than Wally? And like how could we feel this way or put this much of love into anything? But then like once we found out we were having one, like a lot of those reservations and worries about so many things. Like, am I still going to be able to play as much tennis as I play or work out as much? Am I still, or are we going to be able to go on vacations? Like all these like doubts or whatever they were, reservations in our head about having another one kind of just seemed to fade away, because like just so excited to do it again, and that like we get to expand this little community of family that we have going here. Like, it's exciting. And
I think you will make time.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you're going to do it. Like my mom always said that, like there's going to be things that suck. Like that's for sure. Like just sometimes things are going to suck and be stressful and so crazy, but like you're going to get through it and it's going to be fine. And like at the end of the day, you have mini yous and like little things you get to nurture and grow and help, like, and that's all worth it. And she's so right with that, man. Like I've had so many days when I'm just like with Wally, like this is tough or this is hard. And it's just get through it. Just keep going. Like you're going to be fine. And it's true. It's so true. So with two, it's just probably more of those situations. You got to be more patient, but be all right.
We'll be all right. There's I don't know quite the details of it, but I think the shell of the situation will kind of paint the picture. There's a small battle going on, as you call it, about school lunches.
Okay.
In California. And I heard something the other day, and it got me to thinking, because I have a kid now, that free school lunches for children is one of, if not the most detrimental policies that have been put into place in America for some time. And here's why. And this isn't my view exactly, but I'm kind of regurgitating what I heard. At a baseline, your responsibility as a parent is to feed your kid, right?
Yes.
Like what other, outside of feeding your kid, right? There might be things that are nice, but what else is required of you as a parent to make sure that this person is surviving? Feeding them, right? And the person that was making this argument was saying that there is no reality where you being unable to feed your child is acceptable. And I was like, okay, I'll listen. Mm-hmm. And it got me to thinking, because when we were kids, we were on school lunch. My mom, for a time, was on welfare because she had to be. She got off it as soon as she could, but she had to be. We got government assistance. We got assistance from the church. We got assistance from family members. I mean, we got help from wherever we could get it because we needed it. And in that respect, I imagine that the school providing lunches for us was a good thing for my mom. It helped lessen the burden. And I think that's probably the attitude that got that policy enacted in the first place. But now it's gone universal. So school lunch, California, universal. Breakfast is provided for kids. During the pandemic, you can go to school to pick up lunches. And it got me to thinking, like, maybe this isn't a good idea, because if what we're saying to parents is that you no longer are responsible for feeding your kid, it just hit me as something like that. That's not something that we should be teaching.
Sure.
Or, Well,
and then you get into the idea of, like, when you're trying to streamline feeding a group of people, obviously, like, quality will begin to lack at some point, and what you're feeding them becomes a very big concern.
Yes, dude.
So it's like,
yes, it was Gavin Newsom that was saying that. He's like, it's our goal to make sure that every child in California is well fed. And I was like, well, define well fed.
Yeah, to whose standard?
You know what I mean? Like if you got to feed children en masse, like you're not feeding them chicken breasts and slices of tomato and broccoli, and it's probably like cardboard pizza,
French fries,
an apple,
yeah,
French fries, and chocolate milk.
Which, as a kid, I would have been great with. That sounds delicious.
You know what? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I remember not eating lunch, but I had to take it.
You wouldn't eat the lunch given to you by school, or that your mom packed?
I would. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Like I had to do. Like I could. I just remember there not being the option to not take the lunch because I was able to get free lunch, and I remember just throwing it away immediately, just because it was gross. And maybe I was spoiled because everyone in my family can cook well, and so I would like taste this nasty cafeteria. Like when I say cafeteria, does a smell automatically come to your head?
We had a solid cafeteria at my high school, so I can't talk shit here.
High school's different.
Grade school, no. We was packed lunch every day, and then they did these things called hot lunches where they would bring in Chick-fil-A or like Magic Walk Chinese food or
gotcha,
hot dog lunch. I was known as the one biter back in grade school, bro. Maybe not the best reputation I have, but
could you just take a bite of everyone's food?
No. When we had hot dog lunch, it was like the first Wednesday of every month, I could one bite an entire hot dog.
You fit the whole hot dog in your mouth in one bite?
Whole thing? Yeah. That's not something I would do now, ever.
That's what we call foreshadowing, kids.
But yeah, so that's I guess
I don't really have a point there. But I just thought it was interesting because it's like, wow, yeah, that is like if we took that away, and we never will. There's never been a social program in America that has gone away. If we were to take that away, there shouldn't be any backlash to that. Oh, I can't, it helps so much for me to feed my kid. Like, okay, yeah, understood. But that's like you're their parent, right? That's your responsibility to feed your kid. You have to, before you do anything else, you have to do that. And like we've allowed for the feeding of our children to be supplemented by the state. Just doesn't sound good when you say it like that. Just doesn't sound good. Okay, here is a gentleman named John Lefebvre. He's an author. He had a little thread about the impact of fathers, especially on young girls. We both have sons, but I'm sure some of you out there have some daughters. So he wrote down some unapologetic advice for his daughter, and I'll read it here for you guys. Number 1, stand up straight. I think that's underrated. I was in the bathroom today, and I noticed that my Natural position is a hunched position.
I catch myself doing the
Not
same
good.
thing. Got to kind of.
Yep. Stand up straight. Know how to change a tire. Absolutely. Every girl in the world should know how to change a tire. But he also says, whenever possible, let a man do it for you. Amen. Your physical appearance matters. That's the world we live in, and it's also how we're wired. That is so true. I saw a video yesterday. There was a shooting in Chicago, and as the police were trying to clear the scene, there were a bunch of women in front of a cop car twerking in front of the cop car as to like taunt the police. And call me a prude or whatever. But all I kept thinking was like, damn, if that was my daughter, I would be so disappointed. But your physical appearance matters. Absolutely. Keep that up. That is 100% true. And then the next point he makes is inner beauty. Intelligence, personality, confidence, and a sense of humor becomes more important as you get older. Wits never sag. LOL. Number 5, know that you are more beautiful than you will ever give yourself credit for. Man, that's probably the truest thing you'll ever hear as a girl. I don't know of any other group of humans that is so hard on themselves physically than women. It's my job to keep you safe. That's why it's also my job to teach you how to use a gun. Here. Take good care of your skin. As a man, I don't know if this is the same for you, I take for granted how easy it is to have clear, nice skin.
Is that because you don't do anything for it? Because that's my firm belief. I haven't put any skincare products, any of that bullshit on my skin ever. And I would say, like, relatively clear skin. And I know people that spend so much time with so many different products and have terrible skin. And I'm just like, it's probably because all the fucking oils and shit you're rubbing on your face. Like, I wonder why your skin's not good.
It probably has to do with the fact that, women more often than not wear makeup. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Maybe not.
Right.
I don't know. This is probably not advice I would give. Don't worry about dieting. Eat healthy, exercise, drink in moderation, and everything will fall into place.
I mean, if you eat healthy and because some of those diets you can kind of start a crazy psyche with how you approach some things, and then like once you break that, you're gonna 180 the other way and go nuts.
Right.
So if you just like kind of have the goal as exercise often and eat relatively healthy, I could see how that's like I would agree with that advice.
Sure. Yeah, maybe I was wrong there. Gender is not a social construct. Embrace the differences between men and women. Read more. It allows you to borrow someone else's brain. It's safe to assume that almost every man you meet will want to sleep with you. Yes. Even if they don't make a move on that assumption, the answer is yes. If anyone says it's okay to be fat, they're lying to you. Also, yes. Let him pay for dinner most of the time. When you and Sarah first started dating, did you guys go Dutch?
Yes. Yeah, we split almost everything. I mean, there's been meals where I treated, she treated.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. Keep it fair.
Yeah. Just because you can fit into that tiny dress doesn't mean that you should wear it. That's always interesting. And if I ever do have a daughter, that's something that I think I'll struggle with. Is like allowing them to be their own person, but also like knowing in my heart that like I don't want them. I'm not a woman, so I don't know how I teach a woman class. So that's something that I think I will struggle with if I ever have a daughter. Don't sleep around. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Play sports. You'll probably run, throw, and fight like a girl, but that's magnificent. Money is important. It won't make you happy, but it solves many of the problems that will make you unhappy. Ooh, that's good advice. You will most likely regret getting a tattoo. Interesting. I don't have any tattoos, so I can't speak on that.
Same, man. And I regret that I don't have one.
Ah, interesting.
I just want to know what it feels like, but like I've never been able to be like, oh, I really like that, and I want that in my body forever.
Same.
It's
yep. Same. Yeah. If you are blessed with the gift of being able to create and shape a life, embrace it. You'll probably find it more rewarding than any career, but you can still have both. Interesting. You have all the power over boys. Let them cherish and revere you. Boy, is that true. You ever watch the movie Bug's Life?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Do you remember when the main... What are they? Grasshoppers? Yeah. The main grasshopper is talking to the other grasshoppers, and he goes, they outnumber us 100 to 1. If they ever figure that out, we're done. I feel like it's the same way with girls. If they ever figure out just how much power they have over men, it's over. It's over.
Oh, okay. How so?
Let me rephrase that. If they ever figured out how much power they have over young, impressionable boys.
Yes, agreed.
It's over.
But I think as sexes, we need each other. I don't think one of us have this like overarching power over each other. We're better at different things for sure, just genetically, but like we need each other to make all of this work, I think.
But I also don't think that women realize especially girls, just how much power they have.
Well, yeah, when you talk about a young man, yes, that's very true.
Ignore the booze. They usually come from the cheap seats. Don't try to party like one of the guys. You won't metabolize alcohol at the same rate, and that's how bad things can happen. Oh my God, that should be number one. Success is doing whatever it is that you love and doing it well.
Yes, agreed.
Just because your brother might go on spring break with his friends doesn't mean you can. Interesting. See 6, 9, 11, and 22. Finally, remember that rules are for the obedience of fools and the guidance of a smart, strong woman. I don't really know what that means. All in all, it's a pretty good list, I think.
Yeah. I like that. Dude, some potential breaking news. Have you been following this Oceanside submarine? This Titanic?
Yes.
Dude.
Yes, I have.
Crazy story. We just had someone chime in on our YouTube, Mr. Marvin, saying that he has seen that the missing people on the sub have been rescued. Now, I have not seen this online yet. I asked him to tell me his source, and I haven't seen that yet. Apparently, this morning, though, they did hear banging.
I heard that
was occurring every 30 minutes in somewhat of a regular interval. So they've narrowed the search window. I see nothing online or on Twitter or anything saying that they've officially been rescued. But this is a crazy story. You have been following this?
Mm-hmm.
It is nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Some of the things that have gone wrong here, it's just like, I guess in hindsight, it just seems so like, duh, why the hell? Like, this seems so dumb. But I guess it's a crew of 5 that went down here for the people that haven't been up to date with all this. And they basically were taking they're calling it like a jerry-rigged vessel. Like it was definitely safe to a point, but like there's some weird things about it, i.e. it's being controlled by a Logitech, like $30 video gaming controller from the surface. They don't have much control down low at all.
Right.
These guys went missing about an hour and 45 minutes after this entire expedition to go and see the Titanic wreckage started. They've been missing now for about 3 days. And for the air that they have on board, they would run out of oxygen basically like early Thursday morning is what they're being said. So today is basically like the last day, if they're to be found, that they can be alive at least.
Apparently, here's what they're hearing.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Sounds like signs of life, but I have no idea. The son or the stepson of the billionaire that went down there decided that it was appropriate to attend the Blink-182 concert in San Diego 2 nights ago, and posted about it on social media saying, this is what my parents would have wanted me to do.
Oh, so, Jesus.
I guess the billionaire's stepson. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Twitter where news breaks.
I don't see anything about that.
I don't see anything either. I did see, I don't know how true this is, but I did see that like it's controlled by like a PlayStation controller.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it's like a $30 Logitech gaming controller that they're using for this thing, dude. Nuts. And the fact that they don't put any kind of like sonar radar beacon on this thing so that GPS tracking so that it can be found is bananas. Like you would think that's the first thing you would do if you're going to go to depths of the ocean that like no manned vessel can go. I think as deep as we can go is like 600 meters, and they're like 4,000 down there.
Yeah.
So the only thing that can like really help them is like an unmanned vehicle, of which there's only like a few that are able to tow and do the things that this would be needed. So like not looking good for these guys, man. Like there's things inside the vessel that were like just bought at Home Depot, like lights and various other things. It's just like this hodgepodge
I could be
crap.
so flippant about it.
It's tough, dude. I can't. I feel terrible for these guys. The one guy is kind of an adventurer, though. One of these guys that was on here was also on Blue Origin with Jeff Bezos last year.
Okay,
adventure, thrill seeker for sure. But fuck, man, I don't even know.
No one should be hopping their ass on a submarine talking about they going down to the Titanic. That is Nicki Minaj on the missing Titanic tour submarine.
Thank you for weighing in, Nikki.
True. I mean, like, okay. For me, it's like the same asshole that needs to go to Mount Everest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Like
this is what I'm doing. Just because you have all the money in the world, like you're buying an adventure to the Titanic. Like, good for you. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, that's just like really dumb. But also really dumb to make sure that or not make sure that this thing isn't as like foolproof as possible before you do it.
Right.
Fuck.
Right. Man.
I do not understand it.
So we'll see. Hopefully by the next show, we know what happened to these guys, or something's been recovered, or they've been safely found. Who knows?
I put up a question on Facebook, and the question was, what is something that when you first heard about it, you could not believe that it was true? You got anything for me?
I've been trying to think of something. 9/11.
Like, okay, so you're talking like the official story, the official narrative.
I'm saying the 9/11 conspiracy.
Yeah.
When I first heard it, I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. No way. We got attacked by terrorists. And then looked into it more and was like, whoa, there's a lot of very interesting shit here that derails the story that we've been told, I feel like. That was like probably, and that's like kind of been like my first getting my toes wet into conspiracy theories in general, which has kind of shaped my life more and more. But that was the first one that came to mind for me.
Yeah, I don't really have. I'm trying to think of something. The person that posed this question initially, their answer was fractional reserve banking, which is basically how all banks work, where there's only a fraction of bank deposits that are required to be available for withdrawal at any one time.
Oh, okay, yeah, that shit is pretty crazy. Yeah,
pretty crazy, right? Like your bank doesn't, or your money doesn't sit at a bank; it's being used to grow the economy. And that's why everybody's scared of run-on banks, because banks do not carry liquid assets that equal the deposits, which is fucking wild. It's wild. Like, as a kid, you just think like, oh yeah, my money's in the bank. I can get it out whenever. Not really. But here are some answers, some of these that I know about, some I have no idea about. Operation Northwoods.
Never heard.
A proposed false flag operation against American citizens that originated within the U.S. Department of Defense in 1962. The proposals called for CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of violent terrorism against American military and civilian targets, blaming them on the Cuban government and using it to justify a war against Cuba. So it was a false flag operation to get us into a war with Cuba, making it seem that they attacked us.
Heard that about Pearl Harbor as well.
Yeah. Nobody from Purdue and the Sackler family did any prison time for the chaos they caused in the USA with OxyContin. That's a whole show, or maybe even two there. That Donald Rumsfeld and the United States military could not account for $2.3 trillion in transactions.
Amex, yeah. Common Core math. Have you seen Common Core math? No.
Dude. It is crazy.
Wait, is this like the technique that like Asians use for math, and it's like way quicker? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know that it's attributed to Asians. I think, at least in America, the main proponent of it was Bill Gates. But it's a different way of doing math.
Okay.
And I think the idea is that like you're not teaching kids to memorize like timetables, but you're actually giving them an avenue to learn the actual math. But I think it's like a failed experiment. It's ridiculous. And I think moreover, like, it's not how we were taught. And so we can't help if our children are being taught Common Core math, like, we can't help them. There's a lot of shit here. Biden winning the presidency, Santa Claus not being real.
Trump winning the presidency too. Shit.
Trump winning the presidency. Here's one that's pretty crazy. 2050 is closer to us than is 1990.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, that's weird to think about.
Weightlifting helps with weight loss. This is true. There's all kinds of crazy shit in here.
But yeah, like I was saying, 9/11 was like the first one that kind of made me, like, what? What? And that has altered my conspiracy brain forever. Like, so much so that when I heard about this Titanic submarine, I'm like, okay, hold on. Let's think about this. Like, is there any angle here? Like, because how ridiculous is it that in the year 2023, there wouldn't be some kind of like beacon on this thing where you could find it instantly?
See, I think that's where you and me differ, because I have absolutely no, like my reservoir for the stupidity of human beings is bottomless. So if you tell me that humans did something, Occam's razor kind of thing, right? Like this person did something really dumb, it's probably because they did something really dumb, and like there's not like any conspiracy against it. But you know,
for sure. But when you see huge buildings fall demolition style, it's like, huh? Or one's next to it also falling demolition style because of a building fire. It's like maybe this was thought out a little bit.
Yeah,
like I don't know. There's just sometimes it's like it's glaring, man. I don't know. Same with like aliens. Like, come on, how much fucking proof do we need to see before there's some credence to this thing? I get it that they're not like 4K high fidelity videos, but like,
oh, you know what? Here's one. This is for me personally, and I'm not trying to make a point here. Really, I'm not. But it legitimately struck me when I found out that my sister's ex-boyfriend, at the time was her boyfriend, was a legitimate card-carrying member of a socialist party. I didn't know that existed in America. This was like 2016. And I was shook. I was like, wait a second. Like, really? Like, legit, socialist, really?
What was it, like Bernie Sanders Warriors? Or like, what was it called?
I don't know. They were very young, so I don't know. I don't even know if they knew what it meant. Maybe they did. I don't know. I really don't know. But it like shook me to my core. I couldn't believe it was real. I didn't believe that was real. Like, you guys actually believe this idea?
I mean, when you're young, you believe everything, man.
Right. And it's very idealistic.
Before we get out of here, I have an experience that happened to me this weekend. Have you ever misgendered somebody?
No.
Dude, I've done it way too many times. Not on purpose, with any hate in my heart, but it's happened to me just because of my fucking luck in the world. Curse of the commentator, or whatever you want to call it. But did it again this weekend while trying to be nice somehow. But like, walked into this coffee shop. There was someone standing next to me who looked like a girl. And the coffee lady looks at me, like, you know, taking the next person. And I go, oh, she's next. And she kind of like looks over at me like, fuck you. And I'm like, I thought I was being nice. And then she goes up to the counter and starts talking. And it's like a manly voice. And from my standpoint, I'm like, fuck, I did just misgender you in like a very pro-gay coffee shop. I was not, you know. But also, like, you appear to be a woman. And, you know, I was trying to be nice and let you go first. And then I'm the asshole. Like, I hate that shit, bro. And I've had like a situation in a Guitar Center before where I was trying to get help from someone from behind. The person looks very big and burly, you know, and I'm like, hey, bro, can I get your help? Turns around and like literally had a name tag on that said, my name is, you know, Brooke and my pronouns are she, her. Like, obviously I didn't see that from behind, but like, man, just you feel like the biggest dickhead, bro, like ever. Like when you in those situations, even though it's like, I've never had a conversation with you. You've never told me what pronouns of yours to use or whatever. Like, how the fuck do I know? I'm going off your appearance. Like, that seems reasonable to me. But, like, in the moment, you feel like an asshole.
If you're the other person, I think you kind of have to be a little bit, like, have a little humility about that. Like,
that's what Sarah said, too. Yeah.
I get how you could get to that conclusion, but actually, this is who I am. Oh, okay, cool.
Right.
Ma'am. Can you help me out here? You know, like,
dude,
it goes both ways. That was one of the things that, like, when transgenderism became like part of the mainstream, I think it's fair to ask polite society to accept you for who you are. That's not, of course. But it's also a two-way street where you have to acknowledge that your situation is, one, not normal, and two, a little bit confusing. Like, the grace has to go both ways.
Yeah, right.
So if it were me, the only time I'd feel like an asshole if I was being an asshole about it.
Yeah.
And she was like, actually, my name's Brooke. Like, whatever, dude. I just need this guitar. Right? Like, then you're an asshole.
Yeah, right. Well, then from there, literally the same day, we went to go get lunch at this place called Chubby's. And it's just like a place of cheesesteaks and cheeseburgers, gyros, French fries, shakes, just like, you know, all the good shit for your soul, but not good for your body. And we walk in there, and there's this fucking dude sitting at the counter taking orders, humongous, to the point where he's sitting because I don't think he could stand, and just, you know, a large man. Real nice, great guy, salt of the earth man, and he takes our order. We're talking, you know, just kind of talking bullshitting after the order, and I go, oh, are you the owner of this place? Just like conversationally talking, and he goes, no. And instantly I could tell he was like, fuck this guy, because the name of the place is Chubby's. Like, God damn it. Why do you do this, Alex? And
hey, do you own Chubby? Hey, Chubby. Are you Chubby?
He was so big, Frank.
I don't know. I feel like that person is I don't know. I get it. I guess I get it. Yeah.
I'm just going to stop talking to people because
it could be a little bit insensitive for sure.
For sure. I felt like a dick after that one. I felt like a dick after for me to just assume that he was chubby based on his size was.
Dude, that would be great. Like, do I own chubbies? Is that what you're asking me?
So yeah, that was my weekend in Milwaukee. I fucking up all kinds of shit, but that's it. You have anything else for us?
Nope, I gotta go.
Cool. If you guys need to find us in the meantime, you can find us on TikTok at Friendship News Hour and on Instagram at the same handle. You can find us on Twitter at FriendshipNH. And as always, you can send us a beautiful email to bummerdude.media@gmail.com. That's bummerdude.media@gmail.com.
Deuces.
Good morrow.